So right now in the media, there's a lot of attention toward the Electoral College because Trump won, but it seems that Hillary got the popular vote. So a lot of people are upset about this, saying that it doesn't work, and it just got me back into the mindset of how do you draw the districts out? How do you say this is where this amount of people are going to vote, and this is where this amount of people are going to vote? How do you do that fairly? Obviously, one concern is gerrymandering, but I don't think that's as big as a problem, at least for Canada. But I do think that there ought to be a fair way that we draw the lines. So one way how I learned about it before was from Gray's video, and I'll link down below. It's called shortest split line method. And what happens is that you take a population and then you figure out what line can you draw that half and half are on either side of the line. Then if there's multiple of lines you can draw, you pick the shortest one, and then you repeat for each section until you eventually have all the amount of seats that you want. And that works, except that it has some really funny shapes because you'll have a slice that goes straight through a city a lot of times, where there's going to be a lot of countryside that are just going to have their vote dwarfed by the people in a city. And I don't think that that is a fair way to go about things. Sure, there's an even amount of people everywhere, but there is distinct needs of countryside compared to in the middle of a city. So there's another video I found out about just by going online, searching for all these things because my thought process was just moving on, and I found another algorithm that condenses groups together based on their density. So it's a lot normal looking, a lot more normal looking than with slicing everything with the short split line method. It clusters everything out. I'll also put a link below to his TED Talk. It's just something that a home computer can do, just doing the math, figuring out based on where everyone is what the best clusters are. And so his was meant more toward redrawing districts for Congress in the U.S. But I'm thinking, well, maybe can this be applied to municipalities? Can it kind of show like where the proper lines of where a city should end and where a country should start? Now, going through that, I realized that there's a lot of things that won't work with that because you'll build infrastructure out, and then the computer will say, well, based on the population, it really cuts in here, but you're serving this outside community. So it doesn't work, sadly, to solve disputes between municipalities of who ought to own what. So it might not be good for that, but it might be good for when a province is figuring out people to send to the legislator, for the provincial level representation, where those lines ought to be drawn for voting for that level. So it might not be good for where the services lie out and where the infrastructure goes, but it could be good for figuring out what groups should be represented in the government. So yeah, that's currently what I'm kind of going on now, my current thought process. I'll see maybe if I can figure out how to get the census data and then use that using this guy's computer program to figure out where the lines would be drawn for our MLAs in the province if we use this process instead to figure out where their seats should be. So if I ever make any progress on that, I'll tell you guys. Until then, see you later. Till next time.